What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and it's been a long time since I've done a show review. Man, really long time. Obviously, been really busy with stuff, and only had time to watch soccer games and review those because those are pretty short. So I didn't really have time to watch shows. So yeah, finally being able to catch up on the last two Librarians episodes. This is the first of those two. Uh, I saw the previews. I saw kind of what this episode was about when I watched the eighth one a long time ago. So I was kind of excited to see it and really disappointed that I didn't get to because of traveling and family Christmas stuff. So finally getting to see it and finding out what exactly is going on, it was fun. And once again, very very well done. Really enjoy just this show and kind of how consistent they are. Because this is a show that really could try to take itself too seriously, or you know, people people who watch this either have one of two reactions. They either say, "Oh, that was cheesy, I like it," or go, "Oh, that was cheesy. Why am I watching this? That was really cheesy." I'm one of the I'm one of the former people. I respect the cheesiness. I respect the fact that it's a very unique type of show, um, and this episode did it really well. They had those moments of being very cheesy, but at the same time, it was like they're still telling a good story, and that's been the whole point of this season. I think is telling a story, and the main villain is a fictional from a story, so it kind of makes sense that they're doing a really good job of telling a story. Um, so this is kind of like what happens after the end of the story. Everybody except for Flynn, because he was not there, gets there happily ever after. Well, actually, even he, yeah. And I'll get to that. So Flynn remembers everything still. He still remembers Eve and the librarians. Jenkins does not, so obviously he realizes, oh, something's wrong. Goes and finds them. They're all living their lives in this small little town in Sicily. And it's really interesting to see what is their happily ever after. What are the things that they really want? And I mean, some of them are kind of interesting. Eve wants to just settle down in a town where everybody knows your name. I mean, she says that off the bat, and it's just like, she really wants that? Like, that's you would never think that Eve, the tough Colonel Baird, she how would she want that? But it does make sense that she's been living this life of adventure, and she's been in the army, and it kind of makes sense that, yeah, I can see why she would want to just settle down and live a normal life, but still be in control because she's the sheriff. Then you meet Stone, who's obviously professor. That one totally makes sense. He would want to be a professor, teaching all of these really interesting topics. People just love him as a teacher. Then you've got Cassandra. She's like running this bar, but she's also a former NASA astronaut. She's been to the moon like 10 times, and she has ponies. I thought that was just I don't know why, but that just cracked me up. Like, of all the things, she's sitting there. Oh yeah, I was in NASA. Went to the moon 10 times, and then all of a sudden here, he's like, "Is that a horse?" No, that was my pony. I also have ponies. It's just like that really is a happily ever after for her. Like, she at times she kind of feels like she's just a little girl, and so it totally makes sense. Ponies, of course. Um, which leads to probably my favorite Flynn line of all time. She's like, "Do you have a problem with ponies?" He's like, "I adore ponies." Just, coming from Flynn, it was hysterical. Um, and then finally, the funniest of the four, Ezekiel walks in. It's just like the introduction was brilliant. Like, we all work together. Oh, along with Agent Jones. Agent Jones, Agent Ezekiel Jones, FBI. Like, pulls off the sunglasses. I just like, that's brilliant. And it kind of does make sense that he is an agent who colors outside the lines. That's Ezekiel. He's a thief deep down, but it would make sense that he would want to be able to still do fun stuff while still not having rules to hold him down. That's Ezekiel in a nutshell. So I thought that was a brilliant story to give him in the end. So of course Flynn like freaking out. He's like, I don't, what's going on? And then Moriarty comes in, and of course he and Eve have a love interest, which just makes it even worse for Flynn. Uh, didn't get me too much. Like I don't know. I feel like that was supposed to be funnier, but it came off as a part of the cheesiness of the show. Like it wasn't as funny as it could have been. Um, and so of course they're all working together. They decide they're going to work together to find out what happened to this missing totem pole. Because Flynn finds out with the help of Jenkins that likely that's what is kind of causing this spell over them. Um, and so they're working together. Really interesting to see Moriarty there too. And the whole time I'm wondering, is this like in another episode he was talking to Eve about how Prospero just has him under a spell, and like he's being controlled. Like he doesn't want any of this, and he just has to follow Prospero's orders. And it was another instance where I'm like, is this, is Moriarty really just being controlled by Prospero? Like, is this just proving that he's completely worthless to Prospero, or is this a clever ploy that he infiltrated, he asked to be put in there so that Flynn maybe would trust him more? I was curious about that at first, and they do talk about it later on. But anyway, so they're all working together. Even Moriarty go down to the docks, find out that no boats have passed, and so they're like, well, then how did Flynn get here? And so they start questioning him, and then all of a sudden they realize, wait, he's not the only one that showed up. There was also another girl that showed up, and they showed like this girl off to the side, and like it was probably her, or else they wouldn't have showed her. And sure enough, she stands up. She's like, "Oh hi, yeah, I'm Ariel." And she's like, "Ariel? Like the fairy Ariel?" It is in human form. Really, really interesting turn. And so Flynn, obviously they're about to get arrested because they get suspected for stealing the totem pole. And so Flynn takes Ariel back to the library or to the annex, traps her in like this little circle so that they can talk, and says, "I need your help." So they start working together. You find out that Ariel, it kind of seems like she's scared of Prospero, like she doesn't want to help him, um, which is really, I feel like, is going to become something very, what's the word? It's going to become a main plot point in the final episode. I feel like she's going to try to help them turn against him, something like that. So they start working together to get the librarians and Eve out of the spell. They start trying to get them all back to the library, so they start separating them. And so, they finally get them back. Flynn starts talking to them and tells them who they really are. They kind of realize, yeah, he's right. One of the things that I was kind of on the fence about, and I still am on the fence about, is when he's talking to Eve. Like it kind of seems like maybe she doesn't. Everybody else seemed like, yeah, they're believing him. They see what he's saying, and they really do trust the fact that he's right. When it came to Eve, though, it seemed like she was still kind of, maybe not, maybe so. And then he kisses her, and then she's like, "Flynn." It's like, there you are. And then Ariel's like, "Oh, true love's kiss." It works every time. And I guess it was kind of clever, but I feel like it was a little bit out of nowhere, especially when you think about the last time they saw each other. Like things seemed kind of rocky between them, and it seemed like maybe they aren't really the best couple together. And so this happens, and she's like, "Oh, so now it's true love?" Like, and maybe made sense for Flynn because, yeah, it makes sense that he loves her because he does. She was the only woman that really challenged him. But then later on they do it with Eve, and it's just like, wait, what? So she loves him just as much? Like it's true love for her too? I don't know. It just seemed kind of out of nowhere. Like their whole relationship seemed on the rocks in the last time we saw them together. Um, which I think I can't remember which episode that was now. It was a while ago. Um, but it did seem on the rocks, and so now that it's like they're back together, just out of nowhere, oh yeah, they love each other. It's like, wait, really? I don't know. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Maybe it was a good twist for some people. Who knows? But anyway, so they all figure out that they have to go to the totem, which Ariel tells them is not stolen. It's actually still there. It's just invisible. Um, and then James shows up and he's like, stop right there. And then Ariel knocks him out. And so they all split up because the town is searching for them to take different routes there. And this is, in my opinion, the strongest moment of this episode. Prospero sees that they're trying to break his spell, and he's like, oh no, you can't break the spell. I'll let fate step in or something. I can't remember the line exactly, but he pretty much senses that they're trying to stop the spell, and so he tries to stop them. And all of a sudden, they're all running. They're all running towards the totem, and these people step in that pretty much are going to give them exactly what they want. For Jacob, it's this professor at the Louvre wants him to help something like art history stuff. A NASA guy shows up for Cassandra, and the leader of Interpol shows up for Ezekiel, offering him a job. And it was really well done because obviously they're all at the same time, so they're all experiencing this at the same time. And, it seems like, oh, that's exactly what I always wanted. And it's just like, oh no, they're gonna turn. And it was I kind of expected it, but it was very well done in that the reason that they don't is because they're like, my friends need me. I can't do this. I can't go off without them. I need them. And it's nice to see that part of their happily ever after is being with their friends, being together. Which is kind of something that was touched on at the beginning, how they all kind of went off on their own at the end of the last season. It looked like they were going to go off together, and then they kind of separated after a little while. And they talked about it, but it just seemed a little bit unnatural. But now it seems like they finally realize they have to be together. They can't work separate. They really do need each other. I like that. I like the fact that they finally made that connection, and hopefully, I know in some movies and stuff, like in the next movie, they've like this couple that got together in the first movie. I think one of the most used moments are the guy and the girl from Jurassic Park in the first movie. Like, it seemed like they were going to get together, and then in the third movie, she's got a family now with another guy. And it was just like, but we wanted to see them together, and now they're not. Why? That's kind of how it felt when they started this season. It's like, I wanted to see all three of them working together, and now they're not. Why did you do that? I think it's mainly because they wanted them to grow throughout this season. It starts off with them kind of saying, I don't need them. I can do this by myself. To now they've grown to where now they can't be without each other. That's not a part of their happily ever after anymore. I like that they've done that. I like how they've done that. And so of course they break the spell, and then kind of an interesting moment. Moriarty tries to get Eve to kind of be with him. He wants to be with her. He doesn't want to be under Prospero's spell anymore. Kind of find out that he asked Prospero to set this up for them because he doesn't want to see them destroyed by Prospero. And Eve turns him down, mainly because she realizes what she's experienced with him is not really love. And she tells him that, and of course he's upset. And so he's like, fine, I'll do this myself, and crushes his little thing. And so after they break the spell, all of a sudden Moriarty's coming up with all the townspeople. And even Ariel's like, James, no, what have you done? And then disappears, and it's like, what's going on here? What did he do? Because it felt like he did more than just rally the troops. And so Sorry if you heard that. That was my phone. Um, so they all, they get the door back to the annex open inside of this, like what, porta potty. They go in, and they're outside. And at first I was like, oh, the annex gone. Like, did he destroy the annex? What's going on? But it turns out that Flynn is still under a spell. Um, which I want. It was a little bit unclear if this whole time he's been under a spell, or if Prospero put him under a spell while they were doing. I don't know. It was a little weird, but pretty much the reason that they ended up outside the library is because Flynn, like, it was part of his spell that he just constantly loves solving puzzles. And so why they were outside? Why is the totem pole here? It was just a puzzle. Um, and so it was kind of some magic mumbo jumbo. But like I said earlier, Eve gives him true love's kiss, and then he realizes, oh, I am under a spell. Puts his talisman down, and says, I am Flynn Carson. I was alone before the library accepted me, and kind of reveals who he is. And all of them had to do this. They all had to reveal who they were, which was really nice. And then Jenkins comes out after the totem pole disappears and says, we've all been under Prospero's spell for 3 weeks. And it's like, 3 weeks? Like, what? You guys have been gone for 3 weeks? How's the world not ended yet? And sure enough, they look up in the sky, and it looks like Prospero's plan is coming into play. So, not pretty nice cliffhanger for the final episode. Leaves a lot open to the final showdown with Prospero. Hopefully it's not too cheesy. Like, one of the things I liked about season finale in the first season is that it was kind of cheesy. They had cheesy moments, but it ended very well. Like, the final showdown was a bit serious, and had a nice twist and a nice ending. So I really hope that they don't go too cheesy with this. They do have a bit of seriousness, because that's what I enjoy about the show, is that they've managed to mix in the seriousness with the cheesiness. But yeah, I mean, this was a good episode. It was really nice to see a bit more about these characters, find out a bit more about their wants, their desires, what they really want deep down, and at the end you get to see who they really are, who they realize that they are. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. I really do apologize for taking so long to watch this and finally get this video out. I'll have the season finale up as soon as I'm done watching it. So yeah, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more Librarians, or if you want to just go watch some of my other TV reviews. I have a lot. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you at the next review. Peace out.